To protect someone as important as Donald Trump, the highest level of security and technology is a must. It's no surprise that millions are spent ensuring his safety, from advanced surveillance to elite security teams. Yet, even with such a hefty price tag, there have been surprising loopholes in the past that left Trump vulnerable. What went wrong, and what's being done now to close those gaps? Let's dive into the specifics and see how his security team is being trained to keep these issues from happening again. How Trump security protects him. With Trump recently stepping back into the role of president, his security team has received a major upgrade. Alongside the Secret Service agents assigned to protect him, Trump has brought in a new personal bodyguard with an impressive skill set and a resume to match. This bodyguard isn't just another guy in a suit. He's a former Secret Service agent himself, bringing a wealth of experience and specialized training that includes martial arts, self-defense, and advanced threat neutralization tactics. His main role? To stay close, anticipate risks, and protect Trump from any potential threats. At first glance, the bodyguard's job seems straightforward: protect Trump at all costs. But the work goes far deeper than that. His expertise lies in his ability to predict threats before they happen and respond instantly to high-stress scenarios. Unlike the broader Secret Service protection that oversees the larger perimeter, this bodyguard operates with precision, focusing on close-quarters protection where speed and skill matter most. And his martial arts training, Krav Maga and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in particular, is no small detail. These skills allow him to disarm and neutralize potential threats up close without relying on firearms. This is crucial in crowded environments where discharging a weapon could put innocent bystanders at risk. Instead, he has mastered techniques that enable him to subdue an attacker swiftly and efficiently, protecting Trump without creating additional chaos. But while his physical skills are impressive, what really sets this bodyguard apart is his vigilance. He's not just a reactive force, he's constantly on alert, monitoring his surroundings, reading people's body language, and looking for anything that seems out of place. Every time Trump steps into a public space, whether it's a rally, a meeting, or a simple dinner, the bodyguard is in action mode, assessing the room, analyzing exit points, and keeping a close watch on every person within range. His job is to create a bubble around Trump, a layer of invisible security that deters threats through sheer presence and careful planning. When it comes to public appearances, the bodyguard's work starts long before Trump even arrives. Days ahead of time, he coordinates with local authorities, security teams, and Secret Service agents to make sure the venue is secure. This process involves a detailed assessment of the building's layout, entry and exit points, and any potential vulnerabilities. He also works closely with event staff to establish security perimeters and control crowd movement, ensuring that Trump's path is clear and safe. For the bodyguard, every detail matters. He knows where each door leads, who has access to restricted areas, and which areas might provide unwanted visibility or access to the president. Crowd control is another essential part of his role. In public venues, Trump's personal bodyguard is responsible for maintaining a safe distance between Trump and the crowd, subtly managing the flow of people so that nobody gets too close. This buffer zone isn't something most people notice, but it's a key element of his strategy. It allows the bodyguard to keep a close watch on everyone in Trump's vicinity, looking for anyone who might pose a threat or try to breach security. This preventive approach is all about managing risk quietly and effectively, without drawing attention to the security process. The bodyguard's work doesn't stop at public appearances. In fact, some of the most critical elements of his job occur behind the scenes, away from the cameras. For instance, he is deeply involved in route planning whenever Trump travels. When Trump is scheduled to travel, the bodyguard collaborates with drivers to map out safe routes and alternative paths. This planning includes everything from identifying potential traffic issues to avoiding high-risk areas. In an emergency, these backup routes could make all the difference, enabling Trump to move quickly and safely to another location. This level of preparation ensures that Trump's travel is as secure and seamless as possible, no matter the destination or situation. In his private life, Trump's bodyguard continues his protective duties with equal vigilance. Whenever Trump is at one of his residences, the bodyguard takes responsibility for managing entry points, overseeing surveillance systems, and maintaining strict control over who has access to the property. Every staff member, from chefs to cleaners, undergoes a thorough vetting process to ensure they pose no risk. Inside Trump's residences, the bodyguard's work includes securing sensitive information. He is careful to protect details about Trump's schedule, travel plans, and any other confidential information that could be used by adversaries. Unauthorized attempts to access this information are met with swift and decisive action, reinforcing a clear message. Privacy is paramount, but even a highly trained bodyguard is only as effective as his physical condition allows. For this reason, Trump's bodyguard stays in top physical shape, following a rigorous training and exercise routine. This isn't about aesthetics, but about readiness. In high-stress situations, he may need to pursue an individual on foot, break up a a confrontation or handle a physical altercation with minimal time to react. Maintaining peak physical condition allows him to perform these tasks quickly and effectively, ensuring that his response times and endurance match his tactical expertise. This commitment to fitness is a key element of his overall effectiveness and a major asset in moments where strength, speed, and agility are crucial. The Bodyguards' expertise also extends to emergency preparedness, covering scenarios well beyond typical security threats. He is trained and prepared to respond to emergencies like fires, medical crises, and sudden disruptions. If an emergency evacuation becomes necessary, he knows the best routes to get Trump and others out of harm's way. In the case of a medical emergency, he's ready to coordinate with paramedics and first responders, ensuring that Trump receives immediate care. His all-encompassing approach to security means that he's ready for anything, from an active threat to a natural disaster. Adaptability is another cornerstone of his skill set. Trump's new bodyguard can recalibrate his protection strategy to suit different environments. Public events, rallies, and private gatherings all have their own unique risks, and the bodyguard adjusts his approach accordingly. In a large rally, he may focus on controlling access points and scanning the crowd for potential threats. In a private meeting, he might shift his attention to the individuals in the room, monitoring their body language and keeping a low profile while remaining alert. Each environment requires a unique blend of tactics, and he is skilled at making quick decisions and adapting his approach to suit each scenario. His role may go unnoticed by the public, but his impact is felt in the secure environments he creates, allowing Trump to focus on his role as president without distraction. Cost of protecting Trump. The price tag to protect President-elect Donald Trump in Palm Beach County is rising faster than anyone expected. Since his election win, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office has been spending nearly $200,000 each day to safeguard Trump. This isn't just a few officers standing by, but a full-scale operation that pulls in deputies, motorcade escorts, and increased security around his Mar-a-Lago estate. The price has doubled since September, leaving taxpayers and officials alike wondering who's going to foot the bill and just how high the cost will go. Sheriff Rick Bradshaw explained that security around Trump was already at a presidential level, even before he officially stepped into the White House. This means that while Secret Service agents provide primary protection, local law enforcement handles a big chunk of the work: crowd control, managing access points, and securing Trump's travel routes. According to Sheriff Bradshaw, the cost is driven by the level of protection, with much of the daily expense going toward overtime pay for personnel. When it comes to protecting a high-profile figure like Trump, there's no room for cutting corners. The Sheriff's Office, in partnership with the Secret Service, has to consider every possible threat. This isn't an ordinary security detail. There have been 2 reported assassination attempts against Trump this year alone. As Professor David Thomas from Florida Gulf Coast University, a former police officer and expert on law enforcement, put it, "You do not want that on your watch." So it's understandable why local law enforcement is willing to spend extra to avoid any potential security lapses. It's not just about having more people on the ground either. Every shift requires a host of specialized personnel who know how to manage threats, secure large areas, and maintain order in unpredictable environments. This kind of training doesn't come cheap, especially as deputies rack up overtime hours to cover Trump's busy schedule. The $200,000 per day cost isn't just a vague estimate. It includes specific services and planning that go into protecting Trump. By far the largest expense, the cost of additional deputies working overtime makes up a big chunk of the daily bill. Trump's security requires more staff on the clock, from motorcade escorts to guards who keep a close watch at Mar-a-Lago. These aren't just regular shifts either. Many deputies work back-to-back hours, and each hour of overtime adds up quickly. Every time Trump travels between Mar-a-Lago and his golf course, there's a motorcade that involves a team of law enforcement vehicles. Palm Beach County Fire Rescue also incurs costs for these motorcades, spending nearly $43,000 from January through September. Each trip means more deputies on the road, securing intersections, controlling traffic, and keeping watch for anything unusual. Keeping Mar-a-Lago secure is another significant cost. Since Trump's election, the estate has been under constant surveillance, with deputies monitoring entry and exit points, securing the perimeter, and managing access for staff and visitors. According to Bradshaw, security has also tightened at Trump International Golf Club, where Trump frequently spends his leisure time. Protecting a president-elect at a public golf course is no small task, with deputies stationed around the course and patrolling nearby areas. Coordinating security for a figure as high-profile as Trump involves involves more than just one agency. Palm Beach County officials have been working closely with other local agencies, including those in nearby towns. The town of Palm Beach, for instance, has reportedly spent around $3,600 a day since July on safety measures tied to Trump's presence. These added costs put even more pressure on local budgets. As Trump resumes his role in the White House, his Florida residence at Mar-a-Lago is expected to attract visits from foreign leaders and other high-profile guests. Preparing for these kinds of visitors means more security, more personnel, and more planning to ensure that each visit goes off without a hitch. Right now, all these expenses are coming out of the county's budget. This means local taxpayers are shouldering the $200,000 per day cost. Palm Beach County Mayor Maria Sachs is not thrilled about the situation, and she's doing everything she can to secure federal funding. Sachs has sent letters to Congress requesting reimbursement to cover the millions already spent since Trump's win. Sheriff Bradshaw's hopeful that Congress will ultimately cover the costs, as they have done in the past with other presidents-elect. Bradshaw explains that once he's in office, they'll pass a spending bill that will encompass security for the president, and we'll get reimbursed fully for everything we put out. In other words, while Palm Beach County taxpayers are currently paying the price, the sheriff's office expects federal aid to come through in the future. The Secret Service provides a lot of Trump's security, but their role is primarily focused on personal protection. They handle Trump's immediate safety, such as guarding him directly and monitoring close interactions. However, for broader security measures like motorcades, securing his residences, and managing public access, local agencies like the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office take the lead. This division of labor means that even though Trump has a dedicated Secret Service team, the county still incurs significant costs to keep the area safe. Protecting Trump is undeniably expensive, but Palm Beach County isn't alone in feeling the financial strain of presidential security. Whenever a high-profile individual like the president-elect spends a significant amount of time in one area, local governments face a surge in security costs. During Trump's previous term, other cities faced similar expenses. For example, New York City's NYPD estimated it spent close to $500,000 per day on security when Trump was in town, largely because of his frequent stays at Trump Tower. What's different now is that Mar-a-Lago is expected to be Trump's primary residence. With that comes the promise of even more costs down the line, particularly if Mar-a-Lago becomes a meeting point for foreign dignitaries, officials, and other VIPs. With every high-profile visitor, security must ramp up even further, potentially increasing the daily costs beyond the current $200,000. Despite the high costs, local officials are pressing forward with their request for federal assistance. Mayor Sachs is expected to send another letter to Congress, hoping to accelerate the reimbursement process. Bradshaw is confident that federal support will come, but until it does, Palm Beach County will continue to bear the financial load. As Trump prepares to return to Washington, D.C., his presence in Palm Beach County is likely to remain high, if not increase, as he balances his responsibilities with personal time at Mar-a-Lago. For the county, this means ongoing expenses that may even climb in the months ahead. Palm Beach officials are preparing for the possibility of regular visits from foreign leaders and other officials, which would mean even more security, planning, and coordination. Secret Service allocated budget for guarding him. Protecting a US president is a massive responsibility and comes with a hefty price tag. For years, the Secret Service has been at the forefront of safeguarding the commander-in-chief, but how much does it actually cost? When Donald Trump was president, the costs associated with his protection, including the entire Trump family, skyrocketed. The United States Secret Service is a critical agency that not only works to protect the president, but also safeguards other high-profile individuals like vice presidents, foreign leaders, and even presidential candidates. The total budget for the Secret Service's operations has grown significantly over the past decade. For the fiscal year 2023, the Secret Service had a budget of roughly $3 billion, a significant increase from years past. A huge chunk of this budget, around $2.7 billion, or about 87% of the total budget, is spent on operations and support, which is essentially what goes toward protective services. This includes everything from making sure the president is safe in the White House to organizing motorcades and trips to foreign countries. Of this portion, $1.2 billion is specifically dedicated to protective operations, the division of the Secret Service responsible for protecting the president, vice president, and their families. This division ensures that there are enough agents to provide 24/7 protection wherever they go, no matter the threat level. In addition to physical protection, another $82.5 million goes toward protective countermeasures. This section focuses on guarding against emerging threats like chemical, biological, radiological, and even cyber attacks. In today's world, where technology technology and new threats evolve rapidly. Ensuring that the president's safety extends beyond physical security is just as critical. At the same time, $94.6 million is spent on protective intelligence, which is focused on investigating and tracking potential threats to the president. The idea is to prevent danger before it even arrives at the president's doorstep, whether that's investigating threats from individuals or groups that pose harm. When it comes to large events like national conventions or major presidential campaigns, the Secret Service also provides protection. There is $73.3 million allocated for securing these types of events. During campaign seasons, security is ramped up and additional agents are deployed to ensure the president's and candidates' safety, especially when they're speaking to large crowds. When Donald Trump took office, it wasn't just his own security that increased, it was also his family's. Under U.S. law, the Former Presidents Act ensures that former presidents, their spouses, and minor children under the age of 16 receive Secret Service protection for life. However, when Trump was in office, he went a step further, requesting that his adult children, including Ivanka, Donald Jr., Eric, Tiffany, and their spouses, also receive security. Trump's request for extended Secret Service protection for his entire family made a significant impact on the agency's budget. With frequent travel both domestically and internationally, the costs of keeping up with the Trump family's security surged. The U.S. Government Accountability Office reported that just two of Trump's children, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, incurred costs of about $396,000 for the Secret Service, just from 3 international trips in early 2017. And these weren't solo trips. The entire entourage, which often included spouses, traveled to places like Uruguay, the Dominican Republic, and the United Arab Emirates. These trips alone contributed a sizable chunk to the growing costs. From 2017 to 2019, the Trump family took more than 4,500 trips that required the Secret Service to follow them. The costs associated with protecting Trump's family reached tens of millions of dollars, considering both the number of trips and the scale of security measures in place for each. One of the most famous places that Trump visited and spent a lot of time at was his estate in Palm Beach, Florida, Mar-a-Lago. It became a focal point of Trump's presidency, with trips there costing taxpayers dearly. Each trip to Mar-a-Lago cost the Secret Service about $1.3 million. In fact, in just 1 month of 2017, Trump's travel expenses totaled a staggering $13.6 million, which included not just the Secret Service's expenses, but also costs from the Department of Defense and various rental fees. Trump made 22 more trips to Mar-a-Lago throughout his presidency. If each trip continued to cost around $1.3 million, that's an additional $28 million for Mar-a-Lago alone. This does not even account for the cost of securing Trump Tower in New York or his frequent international trips. While the Secret Service's budget has increased over the years, lawmakers have questioned whether it is enough to meet the demands placed on the agency, especially during the Trump presidency. There was a significant bump in funding for the agency in 2017, when Congress approved an additional $60 million to cover the costs of presidential travel. In 2023, Congress added another $211 million to the Secret Service's budget, partly due to the increase in travel and the additional protection required for Trump and his family. But even with these budget increases, questions remain about the scope of the Secret Service's mission. Some experts argue that the Secret Service's duties, including investigating financial crimes like counterfeiting and identity theft, might be better suited for other agencies, leaving the Secret Service to focus solely on protection. Protecting the president isn't just about hiring more agents, but it's about planning ahead and deploying resources strategically. In terms of the number of agents, around 3,671 employees work within the Protective Operations Division, making up about 44% of the total Secret Service workforce. These agents are responsible for various duties, from driving the motorcade to guarding the president at rallies, events, or while traveling. During major public events, thousands of additional agents may be called in for crowd control and additional surveillance, but the real work comes from behind the scenes. Protective countermeasures include advanced technology such as explosives detection and cybersecurity defenses to keep the president and their family safe from all kinds of threats. These operations often go unnoticed by the public, but they are key to ensuring that everything runs smoothly without incidents. The cost of protecting the president, and especially someone like Donald Trump, whose lifestyle and family required a significant amount of protection, is undeniably high. The Secret Service's budget, which has been swelling over the years, shows that providing top-notch security requires more than just an increase in personnel. It involves technology, travel, and even crisis response teams on standby 24/7. The total cost of protecting Trump, his family, and the various security measures put in place during his presidency will likely continue to be scrutinized. With ongoing discussions about the scope of the Secret Service's responsibilities, it seems likely that the agency's funding will remain a hot topic for years to come. Past loopholes in Trump security. Past security breaches involving Donald Trump paint a picture of close calls, missed cues, and critical oversights that have rattled even the Secret Service's confidence. These incidents at both rallies and private locations reveal security vulnerabilities that left gaps for potential threats. One of the most recent and troubling incidents occurred in Butler, Pennsylvania. Here, a gunman gained access to a rooftop within 500 feet of the stage where Trump was addressing the crowd. The security error was stark. No one had properly secured the American Glass Research Building, despite it providing a clear line of sight to Trump. The shooter had ample time to get in position, a situation that could have been prevented had this rooftop been treated as a high-ground threat. It mattered because a rooftop within shooting range isn't just a nice-to-have for security, it's essential. Buildings with potential sight lines need strict monitoring. According to a CNN analyst, the building's positioning should have signaled a need for heightened security, such as posted guards or surveillance. Instead, this oversight allowed the shooter to open fire. Despite extensive planning and coordination efforts, local law enforcement and the Secret Service had issues aligning their roles. At the Butler rally, for instance, local police were assigned outer perimeter duties, which included monitoring the American Glass Research Building. Yet the line between federal and local responsibilities was blurred. Local officers spotted the gunman and even attempted to reach him, but were constrained by confusion over jurisdiction and lack of a shared communication protocol with the Secret Service. This wasn't just a one-time misstep. Similar issues have been cited in other security events, where unclear role definitions allowed potential threats to slip through the cracks. The outcome was a disturbing lack of immediate action when time was of the essence. Security lapses aren't limited to a lack of physical presence. At the same Pennsylvania rally, security teams had noticed a suspicious figure near the magnetometers earlier that day. The individual had been acting strangely, yet after briefly investigating, local law enforcement simply radioed in a caution to keep an eye on him. This vague directive, however, failed to track the individual who later became the gunman. By the time authorities realized the threat he posed, it was too late. Security teams didn't act quickly enough to verify his whereabouts. The delay in tracking him, combined with the ease with which he accessed the rooftop, points to a breakdown in both communication and immediate action protocols. In multiple instances, confusion over how to implement surveillance strategies contributed to security breaches. For example, at the Butler rally, snipers from the local Butler County Emergency Services Unit were stationed on the second floor of a nearby complex, focused on monitoring the crowd rather than the rooftop where the gunman eventually positioned himself. The officers had not been directed to cover potential high-ground threats, which meant that when the shooter took his place on the roof, he went unnoticed. This setup raises a critical question. Why wasn't high-ground surveillance prioritized? The Secret Service's approach focused on crowd monitoring, which left them vulnerable to threats coming from above. Without clearly outlined roles and surveillance responsibilities, high-ground areas were left unchecked, leaving Trump exposed to potential threats. Following the shooting in Pennsylvania, there was a notable instance of finger-pointing between the Secret Service and local police agencies. Initially, Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle placed responsibility on local law enforcement for monitoring the outer perimeter, which included the building used by the shooter. Yet, Cheatle later acknowledged that, as the ultimate authority on Trump's safety, the Secret Service should have ensured the necessary protective measures were in place. This back and forth highlighted a deeper issue within the chain of command and accountability. In scenarios where security concerns are shared between agencies, the boundaries of responsibility should be clear-cut. In this case, however, the murky division of duties led to a critical vulnerability being overlooked. Another high-profile breach happened just 2 months later outside Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida. Here, a gunman was discovered in shrubbery a few hundred yards away from Trump. This incident raised further concerns about gaps in perimeter security and proactive threat detection. The gunman had a rifle positioned within striking distance of Trump, who was at the time relaxing on the golf course. Local law enforcement only detected the rifle's barrel poking out from the shrubbery after a security patrol. This event underscores the need for thorough perimeter checks, especially at sprawling properties with complex landscapes. More frequent patrols and technology-based surveillance could have identified the individual sooner, possibly preventing another close call. Witnesses and rallygoers have sometimes spotted potential threats before law enforcement or security teams. At the Pennsylvania rally, people in the crowd noticed the rooftop gunman nearly 2 minutes before he began shooting. Yet when they tried to alert officers nearby, law enforcement couldn't locate the individual quickly enough to prevent the shots from being fired. This scenario shows how the public can play a crucial role in identifying security risks. However, without effective ways to report these suspicions quickly and directly, such valuable intel can be lost or delayed, as it was in this case. One consistent issue across these incidents has been the reliance on traditional methods rather than innovative technology. Although the Secret Service has sophisticated equipment, they haven't consistently implemented overhead surveillance technology, such as drones or specialized cameras at events for high-risk individuals like Trump. An independent review after the Pennsylvania incident called for mandatory overhead surveillance technology at all future rallies. By incorporating these advanced tools, security teams can quickly detect unusual activity from elevated positions, which are otherwise difficult to monitor manually. Though the Secret Service has since pledged to explore this option, their slow adoption of such technologies has been a vulnerability. Perhaps most tellingly, a recent internal report emphasized systemic or cultural issues within the Secret Service. The report cited a lack of critical thinking and an atmosphere where agents were hesitant to speak up about security concerns. These attitudes can lead to complacency that, in high-stakes situations, might prevent agents from identifying potential risks. The report ultimately recommended a leadership overhaul to instill a more proactive and open culture within the agency. These incidents call for the need for rigorous security strategies that leave no stone unturned. When security agencies, local law enforcement, and public event organizers fail to communicate and coordinate effectively, the outcome is a patchwork approach that allows threats to slip through, tightening surveillance protocols, prioritizing high-ground coverage using innovative technology, and fostering a culture of proactive risk management are steps that the Secret Service must take seriously. Each event has shone a light on flaws in protective strategy, urging an agency-wide push toward reform. With a better defined command structure and increased reliance on modern surveillance, future rallies and appearances can be made far safer for Trump and others in high-profile positions. In a daring 2020 Addy campaign, BlackRock, known for making firearms that could probably make your grandma feel like Rambo, spotlighted Thomas Crooks, infamously known as Trump's shooter. Fast forward to 2024, Crooks re-emerged as a bad sequel no one asked for, attempting to assassinate Trump at a Pennsylvania rally, wielding none other than a BlackRock rifle. There are a lot of loopholes in the relationship between the shooter and BlackRock, but in this video we will walk you through the process of how BlackRock became the unwitting training ground for a presidential assailant. BlackRock and the shooter. The story of BlackRock Firearms begins in the late 1988. Founded by Larry Fink and a group of partners, BlackRock initially started as a risk management and fixed income institutional asset manager. Over the years, it has grown into a colossal entity with over $9 trillion in assets under management as of 2021. This staggering figure makes BlackRock the largest asset manager in the world, a position that grants it unparalleled influence over global financial markets. One of the most controversial aspects of BlackRock's investment strategy is its involvement in the firearms industry as the largest shareholder in America's largest gun makers. The timeline of BlackRock's investment in America's largest gun makers is a tale of strategic financial maneuvers and the growing influence of passive investment vehicles like ETFs and index funds. To understand the extent of BlackRock's involvement, we need to delve into the specifics of its holdings and the public and political reactions that followed. BlackRock's significant stakes in gun manufacturers came to light in 2018, a year marked by heightened awareness and activism around gun control in the United States. This period saw the tragic Parkland school shooting in February, which reignited the national debate over gun laws and corporate responsibility. Amid this backdrop, reports revealed that BlackRock held substantial shares in major gun-making companies. One of the key companies in BlackRock's portfolio is Sturm, Ruger & Company, one of the largest firearms manufacturers in the United States. As of 2018, BlackRock owned approximately 11% of Sturm, Ruger & Company. This stake made BlackRock the largest shareholder in the company, giving it significant influence over its operations and decision-making processes. BlackRock's gun portfolio boasts some heavy hitters, and Smith & Wesson Brands Inc. is a prime example. This company, with a history as rich as a gold prospectors in the 1850s, is legendary for its revolvers. Over the years, it has diversified its arsenal to include a wide range of firearms. Through its investment in Smith & Wesson's parent company, American Outdoor Brands Corporation, BlackRock has shown it's not just in it for the spin of the revolver's cylinder. Back in 2018, BlackRock owned a hefty 8% of American Outdoor Brands Corporation, firmly planting itself among the company's top shareholders. Then there's Vista Outdoor Inc., another major player in BlackRock's gun game. This company doesn't just stop at making ammo, it's also a top dog in the world of outdoor sports gear. Vista Outdoor owns several big-name firearm brands, including Savage Arms. BlackRock's stake in Vista Outdoor is like having a front-row seat to an all-you-can-shoot buffet, further highlighting its deep dive into the firearms industry. Now let's not ignore the elephant in the room, the firearms crime crafted by companies in which BlackRock holds significant shares, have become the go-to tools for those who prefer to operate in the shadows. Their precision, reliability, and user-friendly design make them the top pick for civilian assassins who want to get the job done efficiently and discreetly. It's as if these firearms come with an unwritten promise. Whether you're a hunter, a sports shooter, or someone with more sinister intentions, you'll find the perfect fit in BlackRock's well-stocked arsenal. It appears the young man who attempted to kill Trump also used a rifle linked with companies BlackRock has shares in. Thomas Matthew Crooks was born and raised in the quiet suburb of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Nestled about an hour's drive south of Butler, Bethel Park is a community known for its serene neighborhoods and close-knit residents. It was here that Thomas spent his formative years growing up in a modest home with his father. Thomas attended Bethel Park High School, where he graduated in 2022. His time at school was marked by a sense of isolation. Classmates described him as a quiet and reserved individual, someone who often kept to himself. During his high school years, Thomas was often the target of bullying. His classmates' lack of understanding and acceptance contributed to his sense of isolation. Despite this, there were no significant incidents or red flags that would have indicated a propensity for violence. Teachers and school staff described him as a student who kept to himself and did not cause trouble. At home, Thomas lived with his father. The two shared a close bond, and his father was a significant influence in his life. The AR-style rifle used in the shooting belonged to his father, who assumed that Thomas had gone to a gun range on the day of the rally. This assumption was not unusual, as Thomas had shown an interest in firearms and outdoor activities from a young age. Despite his quiet demeanor, Thomas was not entirely disconnected from the world around him. He was a registered Republican according to Pennsylvania voting records. However, his political activities were minimal, and he did not have a significant social media presence. This lack of online activity made it difficult for investigators to piece together a clear picture of his motivations and state of mind leading up to the shooting. In a surprising twist, a Federal Election Commission record shows that on the day of Joe Biden's inauguration, Thomas donated $15 to the Democratic-aligned Progressive Turnout Project. This contradictory behavior adds another layer of complexity to his profile, raising questions about his true political beliefs and motivations. Thomas did have an account on Discord, a messaging app popular among gamers and various online communities. However, a Discord spokesman revealed that he hadn't posted on that account in months. The platform eventually removed his account based on its off-platform behavior policy, further limiting the available information about his online interactions. The FBI revealed that Thomas had not been on their radar as a possible threat before the shooting. There were no signs of mental health issues, and his recent communications did not reveal any motive or suggest that anyone else was involved. This lack of prior indicators makes the events of that day even more perplexing. On the day of the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, the atmosphere was charged with excitement and anticipation. Supporters of former President Donald Trump gathered in large numbers, eager to hear him speak. Among the crowd, hidden from view, was Thomas Matthew Crooks, who had a far more sinister plan. As the rally commenced, Thomas Crooks positioned himself on a rooftop less than 450 feet away from the stage where Trump was set to speak. Witnesses later recounted seeing a figure bear crawling up the roof of a nearby building, an unusual sight that caught their attention. From his vantage point, Crooks had a clear line of sight to the stage. He carried an AR-style rifle. As the rally continued, Crooks took aim and fired multiple shots, sending the crowd into a frenzy of panic and confusion. The sound of gunfire echoed through the rally grounds, and attendees scrambled for cover. The immediate reaction was one of shock and fear, as people tried to make sense of what was happening. Amid the chaos, the Secret Service quickly sprang into action. A Secret Service sniper, positioned strategically to protect the former president, identified the source of the gunfire. With precision and speed, the sniper took aim and fired, neutralizing the threat. Thomas Crooks was shot and killed, ending the immediate danger to Trump and the rally attendees. Law enforcement officers swiftly moved in to secure the area and ensure the safety of everyone present. The scene was chaotic, with emergency responders attending to those who had been injured in the panic. The swift response by the Secret Service and law enforcement prevented what could have been a far more devastating outcome. Meanwhile, back in Bethel Park, Thomas's father was growing increasingly concerned. He had assumed that his son had gone to a gun range, a common activity for Thomas. However, when he couldn't reach him by phone, his worry began to escalate. His father was really worried. He tried calling Thomas multiple times, but there was no answer. When he heard about the shooting on the news, he feared the worst. Upon hearing the news of the shooting, Thomas's father made the difficult decision to call the police. He informed them of his concerns and provided information about his son's possible whereabouts. This call was a crucial piece of the puzzle for investigators, who were working to understand the events that had just unfolded. In the hours following the shooting, the FBI held a briefing to provide updates on the situation. They confirmed that Thomas Crooks had been identified as the shooter and that he had been killed by a Secret Service sniper. The FBI also revealed that Crooks had not been on their radar as a potential threat prior to the incident. Investigators quickly moved to gather as much information as possible about Crook's actions and motivations. His cell phone was shipped to the FBI lab in Virginia for further analysis in the hopes that it might provide some answers. The rally scene, once filled with excitement and anticipation, was now a site of investigation and reflection. Attendees who had come to support their former president were left grappling with the shock of what had transpired. The swift and decisive actions of the Secret Service and law enforcement had prevented a greater tragedy, but the questions surrounding Thomas Crook's motives remained. But this wasn't the first time a rifle linked with Black Rock was used by an assassin. On October 7, 2007, a young sheriff's deputy named Tyler Peterson unleashed a deadly rampage at a pizza party, using an AR-15 rifle to kill 6 people and critically injure another. On the night of October 6, 2007, Peterson had a brainwave, or perhaps it was just a craving for pizza, that led him to crash his ex-girlfriend's pizza party. This wasn't just any gathering, it was a casual soiree filled with friends who were either students or recent graduates of the illustrious Crandon High School. The room was buzzing with youthful energy, slices of pizza flying around like confetti, and movies playing in the background, all amidst the euphoria of homecoming weekend. Peterson, however, had a secret mission. Amidst the pepperoni and popcorn, he decided it was the perfect time to patch things up with Jordan. The atmosphere took a nosedive faster than a pizza slice hitting the floor when Peterson, with all the subtlety of a bull in a china shop, made his grand reconciliation attempt. Suddenly, the light-hearted pizza fest turned into a melodrama that not even the cheesiest movie playing in the background could top. The conversation escalated into an argument, and other attendees began to taunt Peterson, calling him a worthless pig. This verbal assault struck a nerve, pushing Peterson to the brink of his emotional stability. In a fit of rage, Peterson stormed out of the house and headed to his car. There, he retrieved an AR-15 rifle, a semi-automatic weapon known for its high rate of fire and accuracy. The rifle, commonly used by law enforcement agencies, was a deadly instrument in the hands of someone in a state of emotional turmoil. Peterson returned to the house, armed and dangerous. He burst through the door and unleashed a barrage of 30 shots, targeting the partygoers. The sudden and brutal attack left 6 people dead and 1 critically injured, the victims all young. Individuals with bright futures ahead of them were either students or graduates of Crandon High School. Another incident with the Black Rock happened on October 1, 2017. The Las Vegas shooting shocked the world as Stephen Paddock unleashed a hail of bullets from his suite at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino. Using semi-automatic rifles equipped with bump stocks, Paddock transformed his firearms into deadly weapons capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute. This tragic event, which resulted in 58 deaths and over 800 injuries, brought the controversial bump stock device into the national spotlight. In the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting on December 14, 2012, the perpetrator, Adam Lanza, executed a brutal attack that resulted in the deaths of 26 people, including 20 young children aged 6 and 7 and 6 adult staff members. The massacre took place in Newtown, Connecticut, and is one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history. Adam Lanza, 20 years old at the time, began his rampage by shooting his mother, Nancy Lanza, at their home, killing her with a .22 caliber Savage Mark II rifle. He then drove to Sandy Hook Elementary School, arriving around 9:35 a.m. He was armed with a Bushmaster XM15E2S, an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle, and carried 2 handguns, a Glock 20 SF and a SIG Sauer P226. He also had a Saiga 12, a 12-gauge semi-automatic shotgun which he left in his car. Lanza gained entry to the school by shooting through a glass panel next to the locked front doors. Once inside, he proceeded to the classrooms of 2 teachers, Victoria Lee Soto and Lauren Rousseau. In these classrooms, Lanza fired multiple rounds from his Bushmaster rifle, killing 15 children and 4 adults in just a few minutes. He then moved to the first-grade classroom of teacher Caitlin Roig, but she had managed to hide her students in a bathroom and barricade the door, saving their lives. Lanza continued to fire indiscriminately, reloading frequently using high-capacity 30-round magazines. In total, he fired approximately 154 rounds in less than 5 minutes. The rapid and extensive use of the Bushmaster rifle, combined with the high-capacity magazines, enabled him to inflict devastating harm in a very short period. As first responders arrived at the scene, Lanza retreated into another classroom. Hearing the police close in, he took his own life with a single shot from one of the handguns, the Glock 20 SF. These cases are just a few examples of the deadly legacy of the firearms linked to Black Rock. The training. Thomas Crooks, who attempted to assassinate former President Donald J. Trump, once made a fleeting appearance in a 2022 television commercial for BlackRock, the global asset management giant. The ad was shot at his Pennsylvania school, where he stood in the background, an unsuspecting face in a crowd. The advertisement, titled AP and Honors Economics, was a key component of a broader series of television and online ads launched by BlackRock in the fall of 2022. This comprehensive campaign aimed to illuminate the company's activities and mission to the general public. BlackRock's decision to embark on this advertising endeavor was significantly influenced by the wave of criticism it faced from various Republican state officials. These officials took issue with BlackRock's investment strategies, which integrated environmental, social, and governance (ESG) criteria, arguing that such an approach was politically motivated and diverged from traditional financial goals. To address these criticisms and to clarify its intentions, BlackRock crafted a series of commercials, each designed to highlight different aspects of the company's work and its positive impact on various sectors. One of these commercials showcased a firefighter in Florida, emphasizing the real-world benefits of BlackRock's investment strategies and their alignment with community values. The advertisement featuring Crooks was filmed at Bethel Park High School in Pennsylvania. According to BlackRock's emailed statement, Crooks, along with other students who were not compensated, appeared briefly in the commercial alongside a real teacher from the school. The advertisement set at Bethel Park High School was particularly noteworthy. It featured an engaging and visually appealing on-screen graphic. This ad was part of BlackRock's About BlackRock campaign, which aimed to highlight the company's role in managing retirement plans for public school teachers across the United States. The campaign was designed to showcase the firm's dedication to supporting the financial futures of educators by responsibly handling their retirement funds. In the commercial, the scene at Bethel Park High School depicted an ordinary school day, emphasizing the importance of teachers and the value of well-managed retirement plans. The gunman, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was a senior at the school in 2022 and appears on screen twice during the 30-second spot. He is seen sitting at a classroom desk wearing a dark-colored hooded sweatshirt and does not speak. Crooks' participation, along with that of his fellow students, was intended to add a touch of authenticity and relatability to the advertisement. Brian Dilo, a dedicated AP and Honors Economics teacher from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who was also featured in the advertisement for BlackRock, shared his insights on financial well-being and his aspirations for the future. In the ad, Brian expressed that financial well-being, to him, means knowing that he can be free to do the things he loves to do. Reflecting on his career and retirement, he hoped people would remember him as someone who made his school a special place and gave as much as he could to help the community. His heartfelt words resonated with the core message of BlackRock's campaign, emphasizing the importance of financial freedom and community contribution. The focus was on the everyday environment of a public school and the critical role BlackRock plays in ensuring that teachers can look forward to a secure retirement. But then, out of nowhere, the plot thickened. The revelation of Crooks' involvement in the ad broke like a tabloid headline, right alongside the jaw-dropping news of his alleged attempt on the life of a former president. This twist has brought more media attention than a celebrity breakup, leaving everyone questioning the vetting process for public-facing campaigns. It's as if the casting call was managed by Murphy's Law. In a statement released by BlackRock, they confirmed that their advertisement did indeed feature images of Mr. Crooks. The company elaborated that in 2022, they aired an ad spotlighting a teacher from Bethel Park High School, during which several unpaid students, including Thomas Matthew Crooks, appeared briefly in the background. They assured that all video footage would be handed over to the relevant authorities and that the video had been withdrawn from circulation out of respect for the victims. BlackRock condemned the attempted assassination as abhorrent, strongly denouncing political violence of any kind. The company reaffirmed its commitment to fostering civility and unity across the nation. This incident has cast a new light on an otherwise routine corporate advertisement, intertwining the world of high finance and a high-profile criminal case in a way that few could have anticipated. The About BlackRock campaign, which sought to underscore the firm's commitment to teachers' retirement security, now inadvertently highlights the unpredictable intersections between corporate initiatives and individual lives. The failed assassination. The assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump by Thomas Crooks is one of the most jaw-dropping and sensational events in recent political history. Picture this, a day filled with tension, drama, and a sequence of events so unbelievable it could have been written by a Hollywood screenwriter. On a fateful day in Butler, Pennsylvania, the stage was set for an unforgettable spectacle. Less than 2 minutes before the fireworks of bullets began, 2 Secret Service sniper teams were seen on rooftops behind Trump, poised like eagles eyeing a field mouse. These highly trained agents were locking onto their target, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, who had found himself a prime spot on a nearby rooftop, just a stone's throw away from where Trump was delivering his speech. At precisely 6:15, chaos erupted. Shots rang out, and the crowd's cheers turned to screams of of terror. Secret Service agents sprang into action, rushing to pull Trump to the ground. Blood could be seen on the bleachers behind where Trump had been speaking. A bullet had struck him in the ear, grazing him but not causing life-threatening injury. The scene was one of pandemonium. Spectators were in shock, and the Secret Service agents worked swiftly to secure the area. Tragically, a spectator was killed, and 2 more were critically injured in the attack. The Secret Service later confirmed that the suspected gunman, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was shot and killed by the agents. The FBI launched an immediate investigation into the incident, trying to piece together the motives and background of the young gunman. Crooks, with no prior criminal record, had managed to get dangerously close to the former president. The investigation revealed that Crooks had meticulously planned the attack, taking advantage of the rally's open setting and the clear line of sight from the rooftop. As the news of the assassination attempt spread, the nation was left in shock. The fact that Trump had survived such a close call was nothing short of miraculous. The incident raised serious questions about security measures at political events and the lengths to which individuals might go to target high-profile figures. The Secret Service is renowned for its meticulous planning and rigorous security protocols, particularly when protecting high-profile figures like former President Donald Trump. However, a recent incident at a Trump event has cast a shadow over their reputation, raising serious questions about their security footprint and oversight of a building outside the designated perimeter. The event took place in Butler, Pennsylvania, where thousands of supporters had gathered to hear Trump speak. The Secret Service had established a security perimeter around the venue, a standard procedure to ensure the safety of the former president and the attendees. This perimeter is designed to create a secure zone, free from potential threats. However, one building located just outside this perimeter became the focal point of a shocking security breach. According to the Secret Service, the building was deemed to be outside the security perimeter. This decision has raised eyebrows and led to intense scrutiny. The fundamental question is, why was this building not included within the secure zone? Was it considered a low-risk structure, or was it simply an oversight? CNN's Whitney Wild, who has been closely following the FBI investigation, reported that multiple law enforcement officials are astounded by the proximity of the building to the former president. They are shocked that such a lapse in security could occur, especially given the high stakes involved. The Secret Service relies heavily on local law enforcement to fill in security gaps during such events. This collaboration is crucial, as local officers are familiar with the area and can provide additional manpower. At the Trump event, 2 Secret Service counter-sniper teams were on the ground, along with 2 local counter-sniper teams. Despite this robust presence, the question remains, why wasn't anyone posted on the roof of the building in question? These alarming observations were communicated to law enforcement, yet the response was delayed. According to the Washington Post, a law enforcement officer managed to get onto the roof and briefly saw the shooter, who then aimed his rifle at the officer. The reliance on local law enforcement to fill in security gaps is a routine practice for the Secret Service. However, this incident has exposed vulnerabilities in this approach. The building, which was outside the security perimeter, was not adequately monitored, allowing the gunman to access the rooftop and pose a significant threat. This is a clear security failure. The fact that a gunman could get that close to a protected individual and actually wound them is inexcusable. An independent investigation is needed to find out what went wrong. With the Republican National Convention and Democratic National Convention approaching, and both the current and former presidents actively campaigning, the stakes are higher than ever. The Secret Service must address these security lapses to prevent future incidents. The failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life had significant political and social repercussions. The event added a new layer of uncertainty to an already chaotic presidential campaign, prompting both candidates to reassess their strategies and messaging. Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, pivoted his campaign to focus on themes of national unity and resilience. His revised speech for the Republican National Convention underscored the necessity for Americans to stand united against evil and violence. President Biden, in his primetime address, denounced the violence and called for a recommitment to civil discourse. He urged Americans to cool it down and resolve their differences at the ballot box, emphasizing that violence has no place in American politics. If you enjoyed watching this video and would love to keep exploring more exciting videos like this, then go ahead and click on any of the cards on your screen.